If everybody could please get in their seats. First order of business is we have the September 24th minutes for finance and executive. I'll take those in one motion. If there's a motion, Member Rosenbaum, Member Duncan. Is there any comments, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is our budget. Is there a motion to put the budget on the floor? Member Daley, Member Blair. Heather, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this budget presentation is for both the finance and executive committees combined. The first slide shows the 2025 recommended budget. The light blue represents the general fund, and the dark blue represents all funds. So you can see the recommended budget was balanced with revenues in the general fund at $60.3 million, as well as expenditures, and then all funds at $157.9 million, both revenues and expenditures. And it is broken out by the type of revenue and expenditure. Our tax levy for 2025, we have recommended that the board keep the tax levy flat at 82.41 cents per $100 of equalized assessed value. Please keep in mind, though, that when the EAV increases, and this year is estimated at 7.5% increase, the property tax bills will increase based off the value of the homes and the property, but the overall tax levy is flat at 82.41 cents. Over time, you can see what the EAV increase or decrease has been. This goes back to 2010. The blue line at the top shows what that would be in today's dollars. So, for example, in 2010, the rate setting EAV at that time was 3.24, and adjusted for inflation, that would be 4.6 in today's dollars. And as I mentioned, this year increases by 7.5%, and we will be having a truth and taxation hearing on November 6th, as required by state statute. The recommended budget for Finance, Audit, and Legislative Affairs Committee, revenues are about $6.4 million and expenditures are $6.2 million. And this is composed of the Finance Department and the Long-Term Care Services Fund and the Debt Service Fund. For the Executive Committee, the revenues are $40.78 million and expenditures are $11 million. You can see General County has the largest representation of that for both revenues and expenses. And historical view, this is a new slide this year to committees, is just to show you what revenues make up each department and how they change over time, and expenditures also. And so you can see for the Finance Committee, the largest expense is the debt service expense, and sometimes it's hard to see the different changes in colors, but the commodities and supplies and personnel are lower on this one. Executive Committee, you can see the revenues in 2024, a big portion of that is due to ARPA, along with the capital outlays in the expenditures section. As I think most of you have been present all afternoon, we did have amendments from different committees. There was one from yesterday in infrastructure. It wasn't an official amendment, but we wanted to highlight it here on this slide to recognize that it did not go unnoticed and that it will be changed in the adopted budget. $450,000 of the funds budgeted in the capital projects fund for a kitchen at JDC will be reallocated to different projects, along with $60,000 it in the ETSB fund that they can reallocate to other projects. For the three amendments from today, County Operations Committee, it was a $92,000 reduction of funds and one FTE reduction. County Health, a $39,408 reduction of funds in the Solid Waste Management Fund for one position. And then in Public Safety and Justice, an increase of $30,000 in each the Adult Probation Program and Court Administration for a split grant writer position. This will be funded by reserves out of the general fund. This slide shows, we do this in every committee. We just have one slide this time, but you can see that the Finance, Audit, and Legislative Affairs Committee makes up about 4% of the revenues and about 4% of the expenditures. For the Executive Committee, it's about 28% of the revenues and 7% of the expenditures overall. And in the general fund, the Finance Committee is less than 1% of revenue and just at 1% for expenses. And the Executive Committee is 66% of the revenue and 18% of the expenditures. We provide this information every year with a projection of where the general fund is headed. And again, we have a healthy forecast out through 2036. The yellow line is the required reserve, and the dotted blue line is kind of where the comfort level of the board is for those. So that'll be in 2034. That's if we are intentional about how we are forecasting out, with revenues increasing at half percent per year and expenses at 1%. So we keep this in here as a good reminder to be prudent with our budgeting. As noted, the property tax remains at 82.41% or cents. Notable changes are there was a shift from the general fund, which was levied at 25, the full 25 pennies last year. We have decreased that by 1.75 cents and shifted that to the risk management fund to build up the reserves in that fund. We anticipate property taxes being collected at a rate of 98.5%. And again, the EAV growth of is about a $2.3 million increase in tax revenue. This is to highlight the change in personnel and staffing over time. This is from 2016. This slide is a little bit outdated from earlier, the earlier amendments that passed today. So it will be an overall net decrease of 7 FTE, not 5 FTE. This is a recap of what those changes are, how those changes came about. There's one increase in county admin that will be funded by ARPA. This individual will help manage all of the projects that we have coming up. And it will be funded by ARPA for the next 2 fiscal years. ETSB had a 1 FTE decrease, and that was a temporary position that was created last year for succession planning, so that was planned. Finance has a 1 FTE increase in anticipation of a shift to centralized accounts payable to help move things along a little more smoothly for the county. The health department had an overall 2.8 decrease. As Monica mentioned before, they increased 2 positions for lead mitigation, 0.2 for a breastfeeding counselor, and then a reduction of 5 other vacancies overall. PCAPS has a request in for 1 FTE increase of a kennel tech. ROE has a 1 decrease from the intergovernmental agreement. The Sheriff's Office has decreased by 3.7 FTE in working with us on a shift of funds from personnel expenses to help with improvements out at the jail, capital improvements. And then the VAC has a new front desk receptionist on deck for 25. Just to go over the policy initiatives, we were very intentional when we were going through the budget process to keep in mind the strategic initiatives of the board. One is regards to capital improvements, and there's $23.6 million budgeted for 75 capital improvement projects, vehicle and equipment purchases, or road and bridge projects through various funding sources. So it is going to be a very busy year for Peoria County next year. Economic development is also important to the county. We are in a second year of a second 3-year term investment in G-Beta partnership with OSF and Distillery Labs. And then the Long-Term Care Services Fund, I wanted to highlight, we do have a positive fund balance, which was attained in fiscal 24 by addressing the strategic initiative at the end of last fiscal year. It is now earning interest income. The HHS building is getting ready to be completed. They'll start serving clients in early 2025. The Hyatt Committee and County Administration worked very hard on getting a new healthcare plan in place that is estimated to save, depending on the plans that individuals choose, about $1 million for the county. And then again, we have all of the ARPA, we'll have all of the ARPA funds allocated and obligated by the end of 2024 from the policy direction that was given at the June 2024 board meeting. But those will roll forward into fiscal 25 and fiscal 26. So everything is budgeted and obligated in 24, but there are plenty of projects that will be ongoing in 25. Speaking of ARPA, this is also in your executive committee. I decided to update the report to provide a little more information. All of the changes to date have been reflected in that, including the budgeted numbers. And so the blue line at the bottom left are new projects that had come from the June 2024 board discussion in the policy direction. And so this is just an update as to where we are through August 31st. And again, this highlights what we have spent to date overall and budgeted and expenditures for fiscal 24. Happy to take any questions.
Question, Sharon.
Thanks, Heather, for that report. Can you give me a little bit more information on the personal property replacement tax that's going to be going down? Give me a little historical perspective on what happened and how much you think it's going to go down this year.
Sure. So it's a great question, and it's kind of one of those crystal ball moments. So the PPRT, as you know, has been really good the past couple of years, and recently they discovered the Illinois Department of Revenue discovered that they had made an error in the formula that they were using to pay out counties and municipalities. And so they have been kind of pulling that back in their distributions. And so we've been watching IML's reports. We've been watching the Department of Revenue that they had come out with some information. And for fiscal 25, we budgeted, well, first, let me say, in fiscal 24, we decreased our budget anticipating that this would coming. So that's a lower number than what we had been expecting historically. And then off of that number, we budgeted down another 9% decrease from looking at the information and the trends. So hopefully that's conservative enough, but if not, we should still be fine.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Heather. Any other questions on the budget? Sharon.
So I didn't, or I might have missed it. I didn't see on that list we had talked about. I know we had a full-time position that we're putting in finance to centralize accounts payable, which I think is really going to be great for that department. The second one I thought was kind of an assistant administrator that was going to be over facilities and economic development.
That was the first one on the list.
Okay, well, I missed it then. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No, after, it's been a long day for some of you. Member Ricker.
One of the ARPA awards we gave was to an internet provider for expansion of rural internet. Did that ever, it was pending on getting a grant or approval for that vendor. Did that ever process, or do we need to reconsider?
Yeah, so what
Great.
we did, let me answer.
Go ahead.
Whoever, Mr. Chairman, you or me?
Well, see if I get this. So the idea was, a lot of credit to Andrew and Scott and the Tether, the team was contacting Comcast. Comcast was the provider that won that. So whether or not some of that was dependent on state grant, whether that would still go through. So since we have 2 years of doing it, and I think the board really wanted to make sure broadband was addressed, the idea was that those would move forward, that we could put that at the EDC for the next 2 years under a contract and write that as for broadband, and then if in 26, if it time's running out and nobody was going to do it, that it was worded that it could be used for capital projects or other things to leave some flexibility on it. But the idea was to have, so we have to have that under contract, and since we can't have that under contract with Comcast, we could have it under contract with the EDC, since Kathy had been handling a majority of that for us. So that I think the idea of the board, and we had originally budgeted much more for broadband, that some sort of broadband would get done. So that's how we were parking that money to fulfill the broadband requirements.
That's accurate, Mr. Chairman. I will say that the agreement to affect your summary will come to the board November committees and the December 10th board meeting.
Good question, though, but we wanted to make sure that was moving forward. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the budget? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the informational items. I move to receive and file those. We do have 2 things that I want to do for updates during this. So if there's no comments on that. So we have a couple guests today, and I'd also want to have Andre give a brief update on some things in the DEI office that are going on. But first up, we have Doug Cruitt, which many of you know at Distillery Labs, and Eric Sampson. Doug, I'd invite you up if you just want to talk about a couple of the good things, and Eric, a couple of the good things going on down there. And if you haven't taken a tour, you should take a tour of the building because it's amazing. Dr. Blair.
And Eric Sampson is the director of the Small Business Development Center.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'll let Eric has been a very integral part in mentoring for a long time here in the community, specifically with the Start a Business GP. So I'll let him start maybe with
Sounds great.
founder story.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Members of the board, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. On behalf of the Turner Center for Entrepreneurship at Bradley University, my name is Eric Sampson. I'm the director of the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Bradley, and the mission of the Illinois SBDC is to provide professional guidance for small business growth. Our services are confidential and are provided at no cost to our clients. I'm here to support the ongoing initiative to provide an educational and mentoring framework and the grant awards for new entrepreneurs in Peoria County. The awarding of small grants to eligible participants is an example of how Peoria County shines in the region by its leadership to spark small business creation and innovation. We were recently visited by Jerry Aglipai, the Region 5 Administrator for the Small Business Administration of the United States, and she identified to us 3 pillars that drive success in the most vital foundation to economic growth in the United States, which is small business ownership. The 3 pillars that she identified and shared with us: social capital. Is small business ownership and entrepreneurship modeled and encouraged in the community? Educational capital. Is small business guidance and mentoring available and accessible? And 3, financial capital. Are investments being made that help founders get over the earliest stages of being in business and creating opportunities to grow, hire, and expand for the long term? The financial awards provided by Peoria County represent a small investment with a potentially large and significant impact. They may be the difference between a new business forming or a community or market identified need going unmet. I'm proud to serve as a mentor to the participants in the Smart Start dashboard for Peoria County. My mentoring counterparts at Peoria Next Innovation Center, SCORE Peoria, Minority Business Development Center, and Distillery Labs stand ready to continue our encouragement and professional advising services to the burgeoning entrepreneurs in Peoria County. Thank you for funding these awards.
Thanks, Eric. And I just also want to say thank you as well. We are well on our way to becoming a world-class startup ecosystem. It's fun and exciting whenever we have people from outside of our community, outside of our state, and outside of our nation come into our ecosystem here, and they walk away in awe of how well connected we are. We've had delegations from Brazil, more recently from Germany, and they're shocked at how quickly we can pull together various parts of our community, from mentors, from investors to industry experts, to come together and really focus on innovation and technology. And I'm here to assure you that we are on our way of gaining more and more notoriety and recognition as a true world-class startup ecosystem. And it does start with this connection to the resources that these small businesses and innovators need. And so these micro grants do have a massive impact. And then we're also here, both Eric's organization, my organization, and every other one that is exists to serve and support entrepreneurs, is to connect them with that next step. So it doesn't end with that micro grant. It's going to be that next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. So thank you all so much for supporting the entrepreneurs and innovators. Questions?
Questions? Dr. Blair.
Very quickly, as I know it's been a long day, but we are really blessed to have so many mentors from different startup mentorship organizations that are willing to work together to make this happen. And we've got 2 great representatives here who are helping make sure that Peoria County small business owners are succeeding.
Thank you, Member Blair. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Eric, for taking the time to come talk to us. Next up, before he takes the floor to update us on some of his things, I want to give a big congratulations, and I don't know if the whole board knows, but at the same time, Member Allen was here working here. He was also pursuing his PhD and recently defended that and was awarded his PhD. So big accomplishment and congratulations. Andre, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Dillon, first off, for the shout out there. It was a beautiful struggle these last 5 years, and I'm still floored, still getting used to being called Dr. Dre, just putting that out there. But no, in all seriousness, though, I'm just a humble guy. You know, I got a 16 on the ACT twice coming out of high school, and here I am years later with a PhD. So God is good. That's all I can say there. Before I get started, I do want to pass out, and Coach, I'll start with you. If you could just pass one down to your colleagues. That is the press release that officially went out today because our digital equity pilot is officially live. And so I'm very excited to provide you all with an update. I've got a couple of quick slides that I'll run through because I know that this has been a very involved day for you all. So for our listening audience and those who maybe aren't too familiar with this, just a basic program overview. Our objective is to provide affordable and quality internet access to eligible low-income households within Peoria County. The funding, we have received a $125,000 grant from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity through the state of Illinois. A little background, why digital equity? So this was an issue that was really highlighted through the COVID-19 pandemic, as we saw many of our constituents didn't have the ability to stay connected because of either lack of access to a quality internet service, so that could be through a lack of actual infrastructure, or they had challenges affording it. This particular pilot is going to address the latter issue, and that is the issue of affordability. The purpose of it is to, again, increase access to our constituents and allow them to have the ability to have remote work options, online learning capability, telehealth, and more ways to have an improved quality of life through connectivity. And again, our goal is to make high-speed internet a resource for all and not just a luxury. So some of our program leadership and partners, myself, I'm serving as project lead along with my colleague, Human Resources, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Generalist, Brittany Graves. Our collaborators on this initiative include the Joint Commission on Racial Justice and Equity's Information Technology Working Group. And our broadband partners in this endeavor include Mediacom. And Mediacom, they provide service to District 13, Mid-Century Fiber. They provide service to Districts 14 and 16. Telstar Communications, they provide services to Districts 12, 14, 16, and 18. And Comcast, which services the rest of Peoria, West Peoria, Peoria Heights, Bartonville, Norwood, and Bellevue. And a notable connection I do want to make, I don't want to highlight, is the Illinois Office of Broadband. They've been a great connector in this space, hearing about what we've been doing, and I'm very excited about a potential partnership with them in the future. So let's talk a little bit about our service. One of the things that we wanted to stress within this pilot, again, it wasn't just about connectivity, but it was about providing that quality experience. And so the federal guidelines for quality broadband service is 100 megabytes over 20 megabytes, and that is considered reliable internet access. All 4 providers that are participating in the pilot will be offering that minimum requirement, meaning the federal standards. Some actually are exceeding that, which is good, but everyone who participates in the pilot will be at that 100 over 20 megabytes per second, again, providing that quality experience. I want to talk a little bit now about the application portal, and you'll see this here on the slide here. To the left, that is a screenshot of the landing page on a diversity, equity, inclusion site on our Peoria County website. And on our landing page, that's where interested constituents can access the application. The application is housed through a portal, and we use the Neighborly software to field applicants. Our planning and zoning department, they use the Neighborly software to facilitate the roofing program last year. And so I appreciate Andrew letting me know about, when I connected with him, how did you facilitate this program? He let me know about Neighborly, and I was able to connect with them, and that's who is housing our application. And so, again, this is a good way for us to ensure that when we are collecting all of the applications, they're housed in one place. And then Neighborly has some great functions, including some great reporting tools that will be good for us as far as moving forward with the pilot. Some required documentation that are going to be part of the application include proof of identification, proof of income, and so that is last year's W-2 and your last 2 pay stubs, and then also proof of residency as well too. And that could be a utility bill, and it must be in the head of household participant's name. We are also asking for proof of income from all those in the household who earn funds. And so if you have a job, you live in the household, then you do require to provide proof of income. And we also are requiring our participants in the pilot to engage in a financial literacy course or a digital literacy course as well too. And we are looking to partner with neighboring stakeholders on those endeavors. So a little bit more about the program. The program will run for a year. We were able to get an extension, and so the program will run once it starts, and then it'll conclude in December 31st of 2025, unless it's able to continue. All low-income households who meet the medium household eligibility requirement will be able to participate. So again, because we're using these 4 broadband service providers, eligible constituents across all 18 districts in Peoria County will be able to apply for the pilot. Once a constituent applies for the pilot, we have a reviewer system. So members of the Information Technology Working Group, they will be reviewing the applications. We have a scoring sheet to score each applicant to ensure that it's a fair and unbiased selection process. And then they will be notified if they have been selected to participate in the pilot. Our goal is to be engaging with constituents and different stakeholder groups between now and November 25th. And then between November 25th and the week of December 2nd, we'll be reviewing and ultimately awarding participants within the digital equity pilot. Currently, we have launched our community engagement strategy. That began with a press release that was released today. I appreciate our director of marketing, Gretchen, and her team for helping us get that out to local media. And then we're also connecting now with community stakeholders. And we would really welcome your assistance in this space. And I appreciate some of you who have already shared with me some contacts in your district to let us know that who we can connect with and really promote the pilot. Because again, our goal is to have the biggest applicant pool that reflects all 18 county districts within Peoria County for the digital equity pilot. So that was just a brief overview of the pilot and where we are currently. I'm very excited about this. And at this time, I'd field any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you.
Questions for Andre? I can't let you off that easy. I got a question for you then. So what would happen? It's an online portal to sign on, but what would happen if, say I just have a tablet but no internet access at my house? Is there a way for somebody to actually, like if they wanted to apply in person or on paper or that way?
Yes. So on the landing page and in the press release, Brittany Graves is listed as the contact. They would contact her and we can print them out a hard copy. Me and Brittany are administrators of the Neighborly portal. And so if Jane Doe constituent turns in a hard copy of her application along with the supporting documents that she'll need, proof of income and things of that nature, we can create Jane Doe create them a profile within Neighborly. And because at the end of the day, we want to have all the information housed in Neighborly. But if someone doesn't have access to internet currently, that will not be a barrier for them to apply to the pilot. We can print them off a hard copy and then create them account ourselves. And then the good thing about Neighborly is it notifies us when we get submissions. So the press release went out today, and I've already been notified that one person has already started an application. When I was upstairs earlier, Brittany's out sick today, and so her phone calls have been getting forwarded to me, and I've already fielded a phone call from an interested constituent who's on Social Security who is very excited about this. And I said, ma'am, are you going to be able to navigate the online portal? And she said, I'll be able to figure it out, or I'm going to have my daughter do it. So people are already excited about this. And again, the press release has only been out a couple hours.
Good deal. Thank you. Any other questions? Member Phelan.
Andre, is there a way, I know like you can switch addresses relatively easily. Do we have protection if somebody was to move outside of the county that they're not going to receive these funds anymore?
So are you saying if they apply using one address and then they switch?
Moved or switched addresses, yeah.
So I think that would be something that we would have to work with the provider on. So if you are partnering with Mediacom, for example, when you move outside of the jurisdiction of Mediacom, then you won't be able to have the service. One of the things also we're going to do is we're going to give a master list to the provider. So then that way, when John Doe constituent calls Mediacom to sign up, if he is not on that list, then he won't be able to participate in the pilot. And then also, too, we'll get frequent reporting from the providers letting us know who's all enrolled, and then we can cross-reference that with those who had originally applied for the pilot. So and the good thing is all that is housed in Neighborly. Neighborly is very user-friendly, and it'll allow us to do a lot of reporting very efficiently versus having to do some manually cross-referencing.
Any other questions? Appreciate it. Andre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
Next is resolutions. We have 5 of them. First one up is fiscal year 25 annual resolution for transfer of funds of year-end transactions. Is there a motion? Member Salzer? Member Duncan? Heather?
Okay. So this first resolution is during the year, anytime the county administrator can, he's delegated the authority by the board to approve transfer of funds between line items within a department. And this allows a transfer between departments if necessary so that we can continue county business and pay our bills. So we're recommending you grant Scott that approval to make transfers between departments.
Any questions for Heather? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is fiscal year 25 revised financial policies.
Thank you. So,
Oops, hold on.
oh,
Is there a motion? Member Ricker, Member Williams.
I was just so excited that we had revised our policies. So the finance department took a really good comprehensive review of our financial policies this year, and we went back through and cleaned up a lot of outdated committee name references and just things that have changed. So there's one side of that is the cleanup, and in your packet is the line item, the red line version of, so you can see exactly what we took out or added. But there were also a few changes, more substantial changes, and I'll note those real quickly here. So the capital replacement, we added a clause to ensure the tracking and regular maintenance of county assets is solidified within our policies. A term to include a long-term capital plan within the annual budgeting process going forward. We wanted to highlight the strategic initiative number 6 for capital improvement program to ensure responsible maintenance and upkeep of our assets and a facilities master plan. Ancillary costs and depreciation were more delineated and defined. Our purchasing policy, we're recommending that we update our current purchasing policy to be in line with the new updated state statute. So it would change the threshold from competitive bids from $20,000 to $30,000, which would match the state statute, and purchases for computer hardware, software, and services without a bid from $25,000 to $35,000. And then we updated, 2 years ago, we updated our prepaid expense policy. It wasn't very clear to everyone, so we went ahead and updated the language in there to make it more clear to users. And then finally, we added a policy to address requests for prepayment of labor, that the county will pay for labor expenses after the work is completed, not ahead of time. So those are our recommendations to the board.
Thank you, Heather. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is fiscal year 25 tax abatement all series. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Williams, Member Phelan. Heather?
Okay. So this resolution addresses the abatement of taxes that we have. We sold bonds to finance the construction of the Riverfront Museum and for Headington Oaks. We have to adopt an ordinance that abates the tax levy that would normally pay for those because we have enough other funds to cover those. We have the public facility sales tax, which covers the Riverfront Museum bonds and the long-term care, the Headington Oaks tax levy that covers that. So we need to abate these taxes in the amounts listed on your packet.
Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the 2024 tax levy ordinance. Is there a motion? Member Coates, Member Duncan.
The 2024 tax levy ordinance, which is payable in 2025, we are recommending the tax levy to remain flat at 0.8241 with an EAV increase of 7.5%. In your packet, you can see the different breakouts. The table shows what the different splits are. Just to highlight, as I mentioned in the presentation, we shifted 1.75 cents from the general fund to the risk management fund. The remaining levies remained flat from last year.
Thank you, Heather. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the fiscal year 25 annual appropriation and budget ordinance. This will be voting on the as amended pink copy that everybody received. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Williams, Member Blair.
So as you mentioned, it would be the amended copy that is on at your desk. This is to appropriate the budget that you have, all the committees have solidified today. The detail in the amounts is listed on in the second paragraph and in the updated table on the second page. We left the first paragraph in from the original just so that you can see the change in it. With the amended changes, the overall expenses are reduced by $71,408 from the recommended budget.
Thank you, Heather. Questions? Thank to you and all your team and all the county departments for getting us to this, and to Member Williams and Member Daly and everybody else that had sat through some of those committees. So, any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the standing committee agendas. I'm going to move these around a little bit. Public safety.
So we did have two resolutions aside from the budget, and one was to accept the contract which is in the second year for having the Sheriff's Department Staff 1 deputy out at the DCFS facility. And the second one was to accept a grant to help replace some of our tasers, and they both passed unanimously.
Thank you, Member Allison. Questions? Seeing none. Next, operations, Member Ricker.
In operations, we had 5 resolutions. The first one was the authorized staffing count for the administrative departments. There was an amendment made to that, and the amendment was to reduce 2 of those staff positions, one from sustainability and one from IT. That did pass. The next one was for a copier bid award, and it's a 5-year award for copier services that we do throughout the county as a centralized. That passed. Third one was IT managed detection and response security solutions. It's a action that we reviewed our IT gaps and needs a year and a half ago, and been working forward to making sure that we're secure with our IT. So there's a service and a solution that we did approve. The fourth one was the collective bargaining agreement between PCAPS and the Teamsters. So just as a reminder, PCAPS decertified and then certified with the Teamsters. This will be the first contract between the county and PCAPS and the Teamsters. That did pass. The last one was the approval of a contract with Hartford Insurance to provide retiree health insurance. This was one of our continuing steps as we moved to the new health insurance plan. And for the retiree enrollment, we needed to contract an outside service to help us do the enrollment for the retiree that used the health plan, and Hartford Insurance was elected or selected for that, and that was approved. That's all, sir.
Thank you, Member Ricker. Any questions for Operations Committee? If not, seeing Member Renault, Health.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had one resolution, and that was amendments to Chapter 10, Food Safety of the Peoria County Code of Ordinances. And that was just to bring our ordinances into compliance with not only the state, but also a couple of the FDA recommendations that the state did not adopt. And that passed unanimously.
Questions for Chairman Renault? Seeing none. Land use, Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had one zoning case. Chad Syke was wanting to do a home occupancy business that passed unanimously. Was a little different because it didn't pass out of a zoning board of appeals, but that was we listened to all what was going on, and it passed unanimously through our committee. And the next one was resolution for demolition of unsafe structures. We got a grant to demolish 3 houses, and so that will make the neighbors of 3 neighborhoods happy. JMAX got that one. They were the one that got the last one. They were our lowest bid again, and they did a wonderful job. So we're looking forward to getting those houses demolished.
Thank you, Chairman Rosenbaum. Questions? Chairwoman Duncan, Ways and Means.
Okay. We had, the Ways and Means Committee had 2 resolutions. The first one was a monthly delinquent taxes, October 2024. We had 29 items with, that included 3 removals. Secondly, we had a resolution for the adoption of amended predictable recording fee schedule for the county recorder's and clerk's office. And this was where a new House bill was passed for recording documents. This resolution for the predictable fee schedule, it only confirmed what the recording fees are. There were no changes to the fees, and both were passed unanimously.
Thank you, Member Duncan. Any questions? If not, Chairman Salzer, Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, we only had 10 resolutions, so bear with me. Jimmy said, give them the Reader Digest version of it. But being who I am, I feel uncomfortable if I skip some things, so a lot of you people read these, and I know.
Rachel, please start the 5-minute clock.
Okay, the first one was simple. Who doesn't want to have the Illinois Department of Transportation pay half the salary of our highway engineer? And all she's got to do is meet the standards, and I know she's going to continue to meet those standards. So we recommended that we agree to this. We've been doing this since 2015, I think it said in the readings and so forth. The second, third, and fourth are all together, basically. They involve the project that we got going out there on Maxwell and Middle Road. And the first one, certainly we want to sign the contract with the state that will allow them to give us some federal money on this project. Now, this project is going to be like $7.6 million, and it's going to be released on the 8th of November. And in this contract, of course, they're going to be doing a lot of work on those roads on Maxwell as well as Middle. The third one has to do with American Water Company. We signed an agreement with them, and they want to give us $1.2 million, and they want us to, of course, give that to the contractor who's going to get that bid, and that way they can make a lot of improvements in their water mains and things such as that. And as Jeff Gillett, one of our highway engineers, indicated, this is one of the most difficult things in building. The utilities are hard to schedule in, and by doing this and staying ahead of the construction work and so forth, they will get a lot of beneficial time. The next one associated with that particular area is the hiring of a engineering firm. And Millennia, who we have used before, they have been hired, and we're going to pay them $815,000. It's not that our engineers can't do it; they don't have time. We've got a lot of projects and so forth, and some people think, well, a lot of these private firms, they pay their workers better money and so forth, but our people out at the highway garage, I was surprised when they said basically they feel that they're competitive on engineers. It's just that many engineers like to go back where they grew up and work, maybe in a family business or something like that, and we haven't been able to get a lot of the engineers graduating from Bradley. The next two have to do with bridge projects, and both of these will come out of the bridge fund. The first one there, as indicated, Blue Ridge, that's up in the area of Chillicothe, and it's really not a bridge. It's actually a slope wall below the bridge and so forth. And N.E. Finch, contractor here for a long time, they got the bid on that, and I was trying to see if I could read my own writing here, what the amount of money that was. Let's see, $390,000. And the next one, of course, is the Pfeiffer Road Bridge, and that's out in Mr. Rosenbaum's or Allison's area, I believe. And that is going to be given to Stark out of Bloomington, their contractor that has become well known over here. And that will again come out of our bridge fund, and actually we will, after the amount that is in the motor fuel tax for the township, and they've got something like $600,000 in it right now, after that's been used, then we and the Limestone Road District, they will split with us the remainder of the cost. The motor fuel tax appropriation for guardrail, we have many of our guardrails damaged throughout the county, and we will take this out of the motor fuel tax, and then we will bid that out to smaller businesses to do the work to repair our guardrails. Then you'll see there that it's $700,000. We're going to take this out of our fund balance there in the township, and we're going to put this into projects that are being finished up in 24 and need to be paid for. So most of our road commissioners, I think, road personnel and so forth, for the township, be happy to get that money. Next resolution has to do with jurisdictional transfer, and you know the work has been done there in the area of Glen between University and Sheridan, and once that work's been done, then we turn it over to the city, and an additional amount should have been given to the city a long time ago. It was like 312 feet, so that mistake was correct. And let's see, the last one is it. Last one has to do with these steps and the ramp in that area right down here on the west side of our courthouse. There on Main Street, the steps, which had no railing, and these railings are going to be put in when the walks are improved, and other improvements of concrete, and Opperly is the low bidder on that, and I think they set the amount with the contingency at about $162,000. Over. Questions?
That was definitely not the Reader's Digest version, was it? Questions for Member Salzer? Thank you, Chairman Salzer. Next is public comment. Is there any public comment? Next is, before we want to get to miscellaneous, I just do want to thank the electeds also for all their work and to get in here, and the electeds. Nicole here, Rachel's here, Beth was here, Bobby was here, Sheriff was here, all the electeds, and then Chief Deputy Coroner Ben is here. Ben, would you like to get to the mic for a second and talk about your event that you have coming up? Ben Brewer. This is his day job. His part-time job is serving on the health board. Thank you for your service there, too.
There we go. I'll go a little bit longer than Phil. I meant to mention this earlier in public safety, so I apologize, Member Allison. This Friday, we have a mass burial that we're pretty excited about. If you watch our Facebook comments, it really wasn't all that nice on Friday, but we have a lot of people commenting on, hey, maybe you should reach out to this person because their last name's the same. And we have had interns and our deputies in the office working on these decedents that are sitting there. Some of them are because we've had to do cremations ourselves. Some of them are somebody buys a new home and they're like, I find cremains in the house, and they just bring them to the coroner's office. And we've got people from other states. We've got people that we, have had to track down. But when it comes right down to it, no one will take ownership for them. And so there was 58 on our website last week that our great marketing and communications team did here for us. It's down to 50 now. That ceremony on Friday is going to cost about $7,600, all donated free. Community partners came together, Wright and Salmon. The coroner's office had some plots. Flowers donated to us, a vault by Wilbert Vault Company. No cost to the citizens of Peoria County. And if you're not doing anything on Friday, Springdale Cemetery, we're going to leave the coroner's office and give them a proper procession to the cemetery, a ceremony and service by our coroner's chaplain, and then some refreshments afterwards just to pay some respect to people that should have had a proper burial a long time ago.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer, and thank you to your staff. Next is miscellaneous. We'll start. Member Phelan, member here. Working around. Member Williams.
Obviously, I have to put my word in for all the folks that have worked on the budget. Heather and team, Scott, all the electeds, all the department heads did a lot of really good work on this. I also want to say that I appreciate all the engagement of the board members. I think this year we had more involved than ever before, so it gives them really a good perspective on what's going on with our budget, since I believe it's the most important thing we do every year. So I appreciate everybody's work.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Salzer.
Unless you got your head in the sand, there's an election Tuesday vote.
So to that point, time does fly, I guess, when you say you're having fun, and I think this would technically be our last executive board meeting before a new board would get sworn in. So it's hard to believe it's been 2 years. I couldn't have been sat in the seat without everybody around this horseshoe, and I appreciate that. I think we've accomplished a lot of good things over the last 2 years, and look forward to seeing what happens next. So to that, that's my thank you, because next time executive meets will be on the 3rd. Remember that got an email about December 2nd is swearing day, December 3rd. So we're moving committees because of Thanksgiving and everything else. And then quick introduction and welcome to the team. Everybody knows Greg here and Jenny, but you might not have met, some of us met Mike here the other day. So Mike is the newest addition to the state's attorney's office, and will be working in the civil department with Greg and Jenny. So, welcome to the team. And Scott.
Just two very quick things, Mr. Chairman. First, echo Member Williams and everyone else's comments about the budget process this year. Just quickly to call out the finance team, Heather, Julie, Shelby, and Wade. Couldn't have got to where we were without their work behind the scenes. Secondly, if any of you, as you continue to look at and read the budget and prepare for the November 14th board meeting, if any of you really want to make an amendment from what passed out of today, under your rules, the deadline to do that is 5 p.m. on Monday, November 11th, which this year is Veterans Day. And you need to do that electronically to both myself and Vice Chairwoman Williams in her role as Chair of the Finance Committee.
Seeing nothing else, meeting adjourned.